I want to go to this from Timcast News. Natalie had mentioned they were calling for the shutting down the Senate. So I'm not sure who this person is actually talking here, but we can listen to this.
Shut down the Senate!
Okay.
Shut down the Senate! Shut down the Senate! Shut down the Senate!
Oh, I hope there's more than this.
That's right! My name is Sydney Camlocker Down, and I am from Los Angeles. And we are still trying to recover from the devastation of the fires across LA County. And I can tell you something for sure. No one elected Elon Musk to make any decisions about getting my county, my city, my state aid to help us rebuild. There is an economic coup happening right here in the Treasury and right there in Trump's White House. But there's a revolution happening right here on these streets.
It's always the same type of phrasing.
It is total corruption for an unhinged, unqualified, unvetted billionaire like Elon Musk and his sycophants to come into our treasury to try to take control of our government, to have access to our Social Security numbers, our Social Security payments, our medical benefits, all of the information that we use when we are trying to get a motherfucking tax return.
Pardon my French.
And you're gonna take our money? Homie, don't play that.
In living color shout out. Damon Wayans in the house.
Very
Hey,
good.
I'm going to blame you for etching that into my brain there, Phil. That woman's voice.
It's terrible.
That's rough.
Firstly, lady,
It's
you use a microphone so you don't have to yell. That's the point. You don't scream into the microphone. You just talk loudly in the microphone. Thank God. Sorry to interrupt. You were saying?
That's all right. So this is something that I hear the left talking about, the scare tactic of saying, oh, Elon Musk is going to go after your Social Security and go after your Medicare and Medicaid. The only thing I have to say to that is I hope so, because if the mandatory spending is not addressed, then the federal government is going to become insolvent. As much as everyone loves to use this as a scare tactic, this is what drives the debt. I love what they're doing with DOGE. I love the idea of shrinking the bureaucracy. I love returning the power to the elected officials and to the executive, making the bureaucracy smaller because there's less impact that the bureaucracy can have on the average person's life that way. And the people that vote for the president and for Congress, they should be the ones that are actually exercising power. And as long as the bureaucracy is just making rules as they see fit, then the people don't have the ability to fire their representative to have an effect on what laws are created, because the laws are created by faceless bureaucrats. But that doesn't change the fact that the thing that drives our debt is Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. Those are the things that make the U.S. insolvent. They could shrink the discretionary spending by half, and it would not change the long-term projections for the U.S. debt and for our deficit. Like, it just wouldn't.
Since 2008, since the financial collapse, they were saying Obama kicked the can down the road by bailing out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Bro, Ronald Reagan kicked the can down the road.
This is like the end of the road. This is where the can is no longer being kicked. This is the moment where they're like, we're going to stop kicking the can, everyone. And they said it was going to hurt. So people lose Medicare. Like, if people lose their Social Security, old people, and then they go homeless, like, that's the end of the road. But the energy.
Just bear in mind, the option, right, is not you get rid of Social Security and Medicare or you don't get rid of it. It's you try to fix it and do your best you can to fix it, or else the whole country loses it.
So what's Elon doing with it anyway?
Well, Elon hasn't actually touched anything. He hasn't done a thing with it. This is all about a scare tactic. The whole thing that she said about bringing up Social Security and stuff like that, it's all scare tactic. And they're saying, oh, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Because right now, the stuff that he's focused on is only the discretionary spending. Stuff like even if he were to go after the military budget, right? The military budget's still discretionary spending. That doesn't affect the actual long-term forecast for our economic problems. There are people on the left that are always going to say, oh man, we're spending so much money on the military, and if we just stop spending money on the military, everything would be fine. That is absolutely false. That is absolutely false. As much as I don't want the U.S. to spend money on foreign aid is not going to make the United States go broke. The money that we send to Ukraine, it's not going to make the U.S. go broke. It is a drop in the bucket compared to the spending that we do on Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And until we fix those policies, until we fix those problems, they can holler all they want, but it doesn't change the long-term outlook. This is just a scare tactic because they don't want to lose the money that they're getting from discretionary spending, from the pork that they put into the things that they can, the bills that they can put the garbage stuff into. They don't want to lose that slush fund. So
we need Maha.
I mean, I love this idea as well. When we talked to RFK at the Libertarian convention.
Oh, this again. There's a third Serge playing with my mind. Oh, there's a fourth time.
I mean, to be fair, I would kind of be down to shut down the Senate, but
what does she mean exactly? Shut the.
Also, what does that even mean?
Wait, talk more about Maha. You were just bringing up RFK.
Well, we talked to RFK at the Libertarian National Convention. I asked him. I said, "Hey, what is it? What is your plan?" Because he was still running for president. He wasn't on board with Donald Trump yet. I said to him, look, the biggest problem, the only existential threat that actually faces the United States right now is mandatory spending, is Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. Those are actual existential threats. There is nothing else, in my opinion. Maybe nuclear war is an existential threat, but that's it. That's the only existential threat that we face is the unfunded liabilities. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, what do you plan to do about these situations? And so I don't think that he was quite prepared for the question, because I think that people don't tend to ask that much because it's such a third rail question. But he did say, he's like, look, we need to make America healthy again. We need to get people off this terrible food. We need to lower the obesity rate. We need to get people that are developing, prevent people that are developing diabetes from developing diabetes. He's relating all of these illnesses that people are getting that are unique to our society and to our time. And he's saying these things will actually affect the cost of Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security in the future. And while I don't think that's a comprehensive repair or fix, there is validity to the argument that the fewer people you have that are sick when they're older because they end up getting onto some kind of for the rest of your life medication, the better it is for the
It is
country.
Funny to me too that they're melting down about what unelected people and billionaires controlling the government. Like, have you ever seen a better case of projection? Their entire party is run by billionaires and unelected bureaucrats. I would argue our billionaires are better and our unelected bureaucrats are better. But all this stuff like this.
The entire Joe Biden presidency, Joe Biden was not running.
Dead.
Yeah, he was exactly. He was dead. It's infuriating.
He could have been, and it really wouldn't have been a different. But I also do think anytime I see, like, what we're talking about, how just horrible, right, the status quo is when it comes to all things healthcare, or just fiscally how irresponsible we are. I remember in 2016 when President Trump, controversially, right, he told black people, he was like, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like in some ways that approach has now metastasized to like every corner of President Trump's approach to this administration. And I think it's very valid, right? It's like fiscally, what do we have to lose? It's not going well. Like you don't have the moral superiority or the fiscal solvency superiority to say that, oh, no, you got to stay out of this building. You don't know what you're doing. It's like, actually, you guys have had the keys to the kingdom, the castle for a really long time. And you guys have screwed up for a really long time. Same with the healthcare stuff. So I think it's like, what does America have to lose? I mean, yes, obviously a lot. But on the other hand, a continuation of what the status quo is also, doesn't work.
Well, the continuation of the status quo ends up exactly what she was saying Musk would do, right? She's saying, look, he's going to take away your Social Security. He's going to take away your Medicare. He's going to take away your Medicaid. Well, if we continue down the path that we're on, then the U.S. becomes insolvent and those programs end. So they go away. So either way, either there is an attempt to fix it by some administration at some point, and it's going to have to take changes, and I don't claim to know how to fix it, but either there is an attempt to fix it and there's going to be serious changes, or it actually goes away because people stop lending the United States money. And the United States, the value of the dollar goes away because people don't believe in the value of the dollar anymore because the U.S. is like the dollar's backed up by nuclear weapons.
Yeah, Rubio said in 5 years we're not even going to be talking about tariffs because the U.S. dollar is not going to have that kind of influence anymore. Yeah. He said that, I think, a couple days ago or yesterday. So, like, we should have at some point a Medicare or Medicaid expert in the room because I have questions like how much of the money our tax money that we're giving to Medicare and Medicaid end up in pharmaceutical hands or in health insurance company hands, like private industry hands? What percentage of that revenue?
All of the government doesn't provide health insurance, or I'm sorry, the government doesn't provide health care. The government doesn't provide drugs. The government doesn't provide doctors. The government doesn't provide any of that. It's all the private industry that does that. So the government just pays for it. That's all that universal health care would be, is the government writes the check for people. And if you don't have a market, then that just means that the government pays whatever the companies say.
Yeah. How much of it is overspending, is overexpenditure? That's what I want to know. I want to look at the books and be like, are we spending through Medicare $80 for aspirin? Like because we just can print the money and it makes everybody rich and then the person gets their free aspirin? Like, that's not good. That needs to be changed. I don't see how that would even hurt the American citizen getting the aspirin. It would just derail the insurance companies or the medicine companies or something, which obviously is another third rail.
You heard at the hearings or the RFK's hearings, everybody that is against RFK was coming down on him. And then if you look at the people that were funding these senators, their candidacies, they were all getting tons of money from pharmaceutical companies.
It shocked me when Elizabeth Warren expressed concern that if RFK gets in, that he's gonna end up suing vaccine companies.
She wants
that was a bad thing.
She wants to prevent him from suing any pharmaceutical company. That's what she was looking for. She wanted a commitment from him that he would not sue any pharmaceutical company for any reason.
We need, for the next 8 years.
Our government needs the ability to sue private companies, and they can go to court and they can win the suit. If they're in the right and we sue them, the lawsuit will fail and they will not get anything from them. But we need that ability. So that was like just mind blowing that those guys are pro vaccine companies right now. After I don't know, man. I guess you said they're getting paid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they all have donations from pharmaceutical.
What you said, Natalie, this is like a lot of projection, saying that we're in some sort of economic coup right now, because it's very plainly we suffered an economic coup in 1913, and it's been ongoing. The Federal Reserve was an economic coup. They tried to actually stage a real coup when they did the business plot, and they wanted to march hundreds of thousands of soldiers on Washington, D.C. in 1932, 33, whenever the business plot was. Like, legit, these banksters have been formating a coup for like 100 years. And it's just time that ends. Whatever, not just that. It doesn't just, we need to create something better. We can't just end it. If we end it, it's over. You need to create something better. And hopefully that's what's happening. Nothing too big, too fast. I'm a little concerned that things happen too big, too fast. But, slow down. Maybe it is time to do some big drastic things. I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes on it.
Graphene standard instead of the gold standard.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.